Alright, this is spark plug replacement on a Lexus RX330. It's a 3.3 liter. So this guy is canted to the back and you can kind of see in there the plugs are way back there. So not possible to really get to without removing this guy. The way to remove this is there's three 14mm nuts on the strut top towers over on either side. There's about 1, 2, 3, 4 10mm nuts, and then 2 more nuts right here on the front by the strut towers that you don't notice. Of course, you have to take the wipers off first. The motor for the wipers should come out completely with this whole metal piece. And then there's also the two 14s, or sorry, is that 10? I forget already. Either 10 or 14, I can't recall now. 2 bolts go in there that hold the motor on, and that also are included in this assembly. So that's coming out, and that should give us a little bit better access to get to those bolts that are back behind the intake plenum to be able to get that piece off. I think from there, we're going to see there's just these 4 nuts, or 4 bolts, sorry, well, 3 bolts, 1 nut on the throttle body that should allow the intake to come loose. The question is whether I'll be able to get back behind there once this is off. Anyway, wow, the windshield just comes all the way down right there. That's sketchy. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Oh my, this is the worst nut ever. Like, who designed this? So back here behind the throttle body, holding a bracket, or on a bracket that's holding on the intake plenum, is a 12mm bolt. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's black. But man, that thing is in a hard to reach place. I've been working at this sucker for about an hour. I've broken it loose, and it's just turning it is painfully slow because there's no room at all to work. Toyota engineers, not a good joke. Alright, there it is. 12mm nut from the 7th circle of hell. It's on a bracket back behind there where it's holding the intake plenum onto the firewall for some reason, as if there aren't enough bolts up here. 14mm over there, piece of cake. Took less than a minute with a flex head ratcheting wrench. This guy over here, you can't get anything in there except this tiny little 12mm solid wrench. I don't have a ratcheting 12mm wrench. And all this took me, that one bolt, this 12mm, which I'm now going to take and melt down and throw it in the landfill. Not really. It took me about an hour. I would rather pull an entire Subaru engine than go through that again. That's nuts. Why these Toyota engineers did this is beyond me. And all this is just to take off this intake plenum in order to get to the spark plugs that are way back there. Thank you, Toyota. Okay, last step before going on lunch break, and final step to free this godforsaken intake plenum. Had to remove just a section of the well, the intake, air intake part in order to move this guy around in order to get to one more bolt that's back there, but not that bad. Another 12mm that's holding the throttle body on a bracket, and then remove the 2 coolant hoses, and now this guy should lift right out. It's gonna take 2 hands, but it's ready to go. Then I can hopefully get to the freaking spark plugs. Hats off to you mechanics who have to deal with this every day at Toyota. And there we have it. A little bit of wiggling around, hitting up against that, pushing that bracket back just a little bit to make room, and pops right out. You can see there's the banes of my existence. 14mm, piece of cake. Right hand 12mm, piece of cake. Middle 12mm, bolt from hell. I may not actually put that one back in. I think this thing's solid enough, especially since it's bolted to the throttle body, and the throttle body's right there being held on. I don't see any reason at all. I mean, unless you're going to go do some Evel Knievel jumps with this thing. sucker's not coming off, so that's ridiculous. Thank you for over-engineering Toyota. Yep, okay, lunchtime. Alright, real quick, just this is what we came for. Basically, there's 3 coil packs back here with 10 mil nuts holding them down. You want to just pop the little tabs on these guys. I use little clippers usually to make it easier. Pull the tabs out, spark plugs down in there. Regular, what, 3/8? No, 5/8? Can't remember. Have to look. Spark plug, you'll see if it fits the new ones. Pull the plugs out, a little bit of anti-seize on the threads, a little bit of dielectric grease on the end of the coil pack, and you're golden. This is the easy part of this job. If you can't do this, you're not going to get there. Anyway, good fun. This will be done in a few minutes. We'll change the PCV valve while we're back here too, and start putting it all back together again. And we'll have to do it again for, let's see, this car, this RX330, no record, we bought it used, there's no record of any spark plug change before. The plugs actually look pretty good for what it is, if that's true. 330,000 kilometers? I guess it's possible. I think we're probably the first to change here. Good iridium plugs, just shows you how well iridium lasts. Anyway, here we go. Okay, plugs are done, 10-minute job, 2 hours leading up to taking all this stuff out. And here's why I think the plugs have never been done before. Take a look at this PCV. So I've got the new one to the bottom, that's the old one to the top. That's pretty clearly never been changed. And anybody who went to this trouble to get the plugs would certainly change the PCV. So I don't think these rear plugs have ever been changed. So that means this whole engine was running on plugs that are 330,000 kilometers old. And it was running pretty good too. Mostly did it because, well, nobody said that it had ever been done, and that kind of concerned me. I thought it needed to be if it hasn't. Imagine how well it's going to run now, especially with that. Yeah. Okay, she's all back together again. A lot quicker going back in than going back out, but I've got a secret. I did not put that 12mm bolt back. No freaking need. This thing is solid in there. The others handle it, and actually just the studs for the manifold themselves are fine, but anyway. Yeah, just the only tips I can give. I probably would have gone a lot faster if I'd kind of known exactly what I needed to do to get that thing out of there ahead of time. There aren't any on the Lexus out there. There's a couple on the Highlander, I think, and one of the Lexus cars, but they don't have, they're not as recessed as this. So taking this off is sort of the absolute have to, for sure. So that's the first thing you're gonna have to do. And then also just taking out that piece of the intake right there was really helpful, because that helped me to be able to then move the, once the bolts were loose from the intake plenium, that helped me kind of move it around in order to get it up and out. That was just blocking it from making any actual movement. So that's I think the 2 biggest tips. The other is, man, 14 mil ratcheting, small ratcheting wrench is the key to getting to that bolt. And if I had had a 12 mil ratcheting, probably would have been easier on that one, but who knows? It's a lot more congested back on that side than it is on this side. I'm not putting that bolt back in ever. No use. Anyway, that's that. I'm going to crank it up, take her for a little spin, and yeah, should be running really great now with those brand new plugs after 300,000 plus kilometers. See you later.